hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I put together 15 of my best beach Dollar Tree DIYs for you. So think like ocean animals, really fun coastal home decor. And I got lots of ideas, including the first one, which is a seahorse sign. Now the seahorse this year at the Shore Living Line is a little bit different, but I think it would totally work. So you guys know I love crafting with these wall shelves. What I noticed is sometimes they have a nice wood grain like this, and sometimes they're just plain like that. So I'm trying to use like similar ones for one project, but what I'm going to do is put 3 of these signs together to make one large seahorse sign, and I've got a lot of plans for it. I didn't want it to be just the small seahorse sign by itself because it's going to be pretty special, so I think we're going to have to make a sign to display it. So these signs are great. I'm just going to sand the holes that are drilled there for the string on the side. Sometimes they're a little bit rough, but easy peasy. I do love the wood grain on that, but I actually want a blue background. So after I glue them together, I'm just doing a bead of hot glue and just gluing them together. They're nice and thick. It's going to provide a nice sign that's sturdy. I don't need a bracer or anything from the back. The Gorilla Glue, hot glue holds it fine. So I'm going to paint it, but I only want to kind of like paint stain it a little bit because I still want to get some of that beautiful wood grain through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just using Caribbean blue acrylic paint, and I'm just kind of doing a sloppy paint job. I want some of the wood to show through, and then I follow that up with a baby wipe to kind of wipe off the excess, kind of similar just to mixing it with water. That way you can still see that wood grain through it. I think it's going to give it a nice distressed coastal beachy vibe. And I love DIYing with these signs. They do have the holes in the sides from the shelves. And you can leave that because that is kind of a beachy vibe, like the boards like that. But I think I am going to fill it in just a little bit just to make it more finished, but I think that looks pretty good. So these are the little string hangers that come with the shelf, so we might as well use them. It makes it a lot easier if you want to start your strings. Just put a little hot glue on the end. And what I want to do is I just want there to be kind of knots on the front, so I just tie a knot in the front. Then I am just going to string it into the next one and tie a knot in the front of that. That way all of the holes eventually will all have little knots in them. I think that's going to give just a nice little nautical feel and fill in the holes. I know some of you guys, it drives you crazy when I leave the holes open, and I'm like, I meant to do that. But that's one way to deal with those. But they also have like the skinnier shelves that are even thicker. These are a little bit wider than those, and I love crafting with these. Whenever I see them, I pick up like a stack of like 5 of them because they're just so awesome. Now on this one, I went all the way across to the other side because I want to leave the holes on the top empty so that I can make a hanger for the sign. So I just have 2 more sets over here. And I'm just cutting down. I'm still on that like same piece of string that came with it. Those strings are great. I always save those and use those for crafting. I think I'm going to be using them a couple times today. But as you can see, I have plans for that seahorse. I want to do like a shell encrusted seahorse, and it turned out so cool. I saw some ideas online and I kind of took them and made them my own. And I can't wait for you to see what I came up with. So I'm going to take another one of the hangers. This time we're making the hanger for the top. And I like to feed in from behind, tie in the front, just because it hangs better, and that's kind of why I did the knots on the front on all the other ones. That way they all just kind of have knots, just for fun. I just make it how long I want it and tie it, and now we can start preparing the seahorse. The seahorse is a great sign. It does say like sea on it with a little star and have lines on it. And I wasn't sure if you'd be able to see that in the final project because what I want to do is I want to encrust it with seashells, but there might be some areas where like the glue dries clear. So I'm just going to solve that just by crafting on the back. Just got to get this tag off. Sometimes these things come right off. Sometimes they make you work for it. But I think that sign is going to be just the right size to hold the seahorse. And it's going to kind of be an offset design, but it'll leave me enough room to put a word down the side as well. So just using hot glue all over the front, which is now the back of our seahorse, I center it on the sign. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to center it or not because I knew it was going to be kind of offset because we're going to use one of these Lua skirts from the summer section at the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a really cool like design here on the seahorse. I saw this idea online. If I can find it, I think it was on Etsy, a very, very ornate seahorse, and it kind of had like a like a raffia mane, like, like a horse's mane. And I thought I could totally recreate that with some of these little grass skirts from the Dollar Tree. So I want to start it like right here, that cool pattern, bumpy pattern that you see on the back of the seahorse. That's where it's going to start. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on the twine just to make it a little bit easier. I did kind of push them all together so there's like no twine spaces in between. And I'm just going to start hot gluing it right here, like when the big bump starts right there, but not doing the tail part. Now it gets a little trickier here. I do want to make this part longer because this is like the little fin on the back of the seahorse. So I want that to have even more raffia. I tried to kind of go around, but it wasn't really working. And so I just decided to go straight across and not really worry about that because it is going to be covered up by the raffia anyway. I keep scooting those along the grass skirt, so again, no twine in between. They're all right next to each other, and then I keep hot gluing it around like the top of the seahorse. And I want it to stop right about there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my grass skirt. It's looking pretty fun already, isn't it? I thought this was so cool. And now the only thing I didn't like is some of the like curves that I went around. I found that there was a little bit like too much blue showing through, like a little bit too much space in there. So I do go in here after I finish off the top here, and I'm just going to start like pulling off pieces of the grass skirt and kind of filling in all the holes. So I kind of comb it out a little bit and kind of see where I need some more of those. I used this grass skirt in another project today too. I love crafting with these. When they're attached to the twine like that, it just makes it so much easier to work with than working with raffia. So I think 2 there, because I definitely had a lot of blue showing through there. And then I'm just going to keep working my way down the seahorse, filling in any obvious holes with more of that raffia. And I'm leaving it tied. I'm just pulling it off of the jute twine. And then what I want to do is I want to go around the entire silhouette of the seahorse with Dollar Tree rope. And I think we'll be able to disguise all of the little tied portions with the rope. So I think that looks pretty full, right? And yes, it's way, way, way too long. So now it's time to cut it. I'm trying to like get a differentiation between the longer part and the shorter part. So this part of the mane is going to be short. And then I'm going to gather the part here where the fin is. And that one's going to be longer. And then the rest of it all the way around the top of the head is going to be short too. I thought this was just a fun little coastal effect for our little seahorse. Kind of giving him a real like horse-like mane, but using some beachy raffia. So I'm digging it. This is the rope I'm going to use. It's a 9.5 foot decorative nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. This is the thinner one. And then we're just going to start here where there isn't any raffia. I thought it would be easier to start on the easier side here and go around the face. Now be careful putting down too much hot glue. The snout was a little tricky to work around because I was trying to get it to the edges. As you can see, it didn't really want to take that like little fluted shape at the end. So I'm just going to have to get it as close as I can. And then I'm just going to keep hot gluing that around. The reason I used the skinnier brown rope as opposed to the thicker is so that I could go around those bends easier with a thinner piece of rope. And then just keep hot gluing this all around. What I want to do is like create walls on the side of the seahorse so that we can fill the whole thing in with seashells. I'm going to do a similar technique to what I did on my anchor wreath DIY recently. And I'm going to use the same kind of shells too. I think they turned out really pretty. So once I get to the raffia part, I just kind of start hot gluing directly on top of those knots. This rope on this side will be slightly higher, but once we fill it all in with seashells, you won't know any different. I don't want to see the knots, I just want the raffia to be sticking out to kind of hide all the magic. And hot glue it all the way around. Now this is what we're going to use to glue down the shells, tacky glue. And these are the seashells we're going to use. These are the little tiny ones that are kind of tan in the little glass bottles from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to go in, I'm going to start on the head and just do a lot of tacky glue. I want a nice thick coat of glue that's going to grab all those shells. And, you know, I had a full bottle that I found and I had some partials. I'm thinking I've probably used like maybe 3 bottles of that. And then this is one of the little black, like it almost looks like a snail shell, seashell from the Dollar Tree. And I thought that would be a good eye. So I put that one down first. And then I'm just going to start going all around with those little seashells, spreading those out. I always like to organize my little seashells in those glass bottles from the Dollar Tree by pouring them out in one of the little toy organizers there from the Dollar Tree. But I did have some like of these mixed together with some other colors. And so I'm going to have to go through there and kind of sort those out because I think I'm going to need every seashell I can get. I thought I had like a ton of extra bottles of these, but not of these exact ones. And I got about here and I was like, oh no, what if I don't have enough shells? But it all worked out. It all worked out. At first I didn't want to use the little striped ones that kind of look like zebra stripes on there, but then I gave up and said, I'm gonna do it. And so I'm just working my way all the way down, filling it all in. I think I lost a little bit of footage there. I think my camera died, but basically I used all the shells there in the bottle and dumped them on there, and we're just gonna keep gluing these all over. I'm just trying to fill in like any holes if I see them, kind of making sure that everything is pushed down in the glue and level. Then I'm gonna go in with this Dollar Tree spray glue and start gluing from the top. I give it a really good coat of this. Now, I kind of wish I hadn't attached my seahorse to the sign yet, because when I did the anchor one, I went and put it in the freezer and it set up and then I could glue the top again. This time it was too big for my freezer, so I had to put it in the refrigerator. And so I'm going to go in with the tacky glue like I did with the anchor, thinking, oh yeah, it's all going to be set up, right? And it was not. Like when I started like trying to use my foam brush to like put the glue on there, all the shells were like wanting to come off and like stick to me. And I was like, oh no, yeah, the refrigerator technique did not work near as well as the freezer one did. So you might have to let it dry in between coats of glue. I already have it all on there though, so I'm just going to use my fingers and kind of push the glue in between all of the shells, because I definitely want everything to stay down and stay glued. Then I go over it with some more of the spray adhesive. Can't glue it too much. Some of those shells are a little bit larger, and I really want them to stay put. Now, this is a project that, you're using a lot of glue, so you're going to have a lot of drying time too. Once I got everything done, I just laid it flat overnight and let it dry for good. But I'm going to use some of these little Dollar Tree wood letters, and I'm going to spell out sea life here on the side. I thought that would be fun, and since it's not really symmetrical anymore, I kind of had open space over there that I felt like I really needed to put something. Now, at first I was going to paint those little wood letters white, because I like the contrast of white against blue, but then I put them on there like natural like that, and I thought, that looks really good with the raffia and the colors that I'm using, so let's just leave them natural. So I did spray it with another coat of glue on top of my seashells. And then I'm just going to use hot glue, and we're just going to glue these all the way down. What I found is these wood letters from the Dollar Tree, I always save them. I have a big bag of them. I really wish they sold like just some of the more common letters separately, because I had a giant bag and I had like no ease. I had to open like another bag. And I'm like, I need just vowels, please. But I think that looks really good. And it was even easier because I didn't have to paint the letters. So there is our little shell encrusted seahorse. This is how he looks, all dried. See how clear the tacky glue dries. The seashells look beautiful, and I just love the little raffia mane. I think he's so cute. What do you guys think about him? I have him hanging in the hallway right outside my bedroom, and I love him. Now for the next DIY, I picked up one of these anchor signs. Now I can still kind of find these in my crafter square section a little bit, the coastal signs, but I did not see them with the shore living line this year. It's a pretty simple shape that I think you could probably cut out of any kind of cardboard, like cereal box even. Something that you could cut through with a stencil. And if I'm able to, I will try to include a printable for that if you needed like a stencil shape for the background, because you're not going to be able to see that part anyway, the wood sign, if you're not able to find one. And I'm using some of the Dollar Tree brown rope. That's the thinner rope. Basically, you could use whatever you could find. I know it's been a little bit slim pickings on the rope lately. I seem to be able to find the thinner one a lot more. And I just hot glue it right down the center of the anchor and bringing it up here on the side. Now, using that same piece, I'm hot gluing it around the edge of my anchor, kind of framing it out. But I want to kind of use one piece of rope as far as I can with this. There are going to be some areas that I'll have to fill in where I will have to cut individual pieces, but as long as I'm going, I'm going to try to use one piece. I decided to kind of skip the side parts there. I thought those would be easier to come back and do separately. Just keep going with that same piece of rope around the ring at the top, going down the side, and then we're going to go around this side of the anchor as well, just kind of doing one section at a time, so my hot glue does not dry out, and trying to keep that anchor shape for this little rope DIY. So we go all the way back down to the starting point, going to make a sharp turn and come back up to the top. Now we kind of hit the ring part, so I do decide to cut it there. And then we can start on the other side, kind of doing the same thing, coming down to the bottom. And then sharp turn, come right back up and fill that in. That looks great. I can continue that around the ring. Now, I got to that point and I kind of ran out of room because I didn't have it spaced great over there, but I show you how I'll fix that. I'm going to go in and finish off the ring though while we're up there with another piece of rope, gluing that down tight. I've never made a rope project like this, but I love how it turned out. It was super fun. So there wasn't quite enough room to get my rope in there, But I figured that if I used my heat gun, I could loosen my hot glue enough where I could kind of push that over a little bit, and that worked. And then I'm going to hot glue that down, that last piece. And that was one piece of rope. That was how far it went. And so we're going to go ahead and open another package here. This was a really easy DIY to make, and I just love how it turned out. It's so coastal. It would also go with like a nautical feel. So this one, kind of tricky. I kind of start in the middle, go up to the middle, turn corners, trying to fill in any space, and then gonna come around the side and kind of go into the little point shape, gluing it right next to the first row of rope that we did. And then I just decided to keep going kind of in a circular fashion just to kind of fill up the entire tip. Now I thought I might as well do the other side in the reverse pattern while I could still see exactly what I did, so I'll know how to do the same thing. Kind of going down the middle to the middle, starting in the middle, going to the middle of the anchor, and then following that to the tip of the anchor, and kind of going in a circular pattern until I fill that completely in. Now we still have like lots to fill in there, so we're just going to have to be kind of creative. I start here where we kind of left off and go around to the bottom and make a sharp turn, trying to kind of fill in that like triangular shape and come back down. Trimming it there, I didn't really think I could make it go any further than that. And then just cutting down some little pieces to fill up the hole. Now, I find that you gotta kind of hold it when you're cutting those small pieces like that, otherwise they'll kind of fall apart. So I'm gonna repeat the same thing here on the other side, same steps. I didn't have this one spaced quite as evenly though, so I'm just going to kind of fill up the two little spaces with the little rope pieces, and it looks pretty good. Now we just have the little side parts here. We're going to start in the middle and go around this little circular pattern here on the side. And then I thought we should try to use one piece on this as well, just kind of working in a circular pattern and gluing that down, cutting it down to size, filling that in. And isn't this cool? I love a rope anchor. I think that's a really fun idea. We're going to go in on the other side and do the same thing. And it's already got like the ring on the top of the anchor, so it's going to be really easy to attach a hanger for this. It's kind of a medium-sized project. This would be cute on a door or hanging on a wall. Actually, you know, you could probably even display it on a shelf too. You could kind of lean it up against something. Like that would be really cool on a cabinet as well. So once I get it all glued on there, I'm just going to go in with my heat gun, try to clean up any of the hot glue strings that we might have. And it also helps the hot glue disappear if any of it's really visible. I'm also going to go in, since it's a rope project, and burn off all my fuzzies all the way around. Now, I thought it was really cute as is. I do want to decorate it a little bit, though. I was kind of thinking, you know, it probably needs like a rope decor, but it's already covered in rope. So I'll show you what I do for that. For the hanger, I'm going to hang mine. So I use just a little bit of twine here and just knot that around the ring. Super easy. And then I thought we'd switch it up and go with the white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. You guys know I always have a stash of both colors because I love crafting with this. Great for coastal decor. And you know how anchors have like the rope tied and like usually kind of wrapped around it when you have like an anchor for display? I thought we could do that with this white rope. So I'm just going to kind of, I want to like kind of the unwound edge of that to show through. So I kind of string that through the ring at top and then just start wrapping it around the middle of the anchor. And then I kind of want to wrap it around the bottom parts of the anchor as well. It felt a little awkward at this stage, trying to figure out exactly how I wanted it. So I try a couple times just to try to get it like exactly kind of the vibe. I just kind of want it to look like it's draped around it. And that kind of like anchor feel. So I'm going to cut that down to size. Kind of hot glue this to the bottom of the anchor so it stays in place. And then I do kind of have to secure it to the back with some more hot glue just to make sure that it kind of keeps the shape that I wanted. And then I also glue it to the top there. I kind of like the raw edges, kind of unwind those a little bit and make it look a little bit rugged. And then I wanted like a slight coastal touch, but nothing too much. I decided to use some of those little tiny starfish that I get on Amazon that are in my shop, some of the larger ones actually, of the two, and just glue a couple of those on. I liked the ivory color combination with this. You could also use seashells. That'd be really cute as well. But how cute is this DIY? I thought it was really easy. Just a little bit of rope gluing and all items from the Dollar Tree. And look how cute this little anchor looks hanging in my house. I think I might use this one in the bathroom. Super cute, and I think you could probably recreate it again without the wood sign if you're not able to find one, but that's a fun rope idea. Okay, next beach DIY. You guys know I'm obsessed with these burlap canvases from Dollar Tree, and I thought we could try to make a sea turtle one. We all love sea turtles, and so this is the 8x10 size, and I thought we could use a Dollar Tree frame, a canvas from the Dollar Tree, and a Dollar Tree summer tablecloth. This is the sea turtle one. I'm still able to find these occasionally in my kitchen aisle, but this was a summer product from Dollar Tree this year. And there's two different sea turtles on there. There's kind of a smaller one that I've DIY'd with before, and there's also a bigger one. Now, all of my bigger ones were kind of on a seam, so they're folded, which I wasn't a fan of, but we're going to make it work. So I just cut out the sea turtle that I wanted. Isn't he cute? I think he's a perfect size for this 8x10 canvas. I just got to figure out a way to get that seam out of there and a way to attach it to the burlap because it can be a little tricky. And this is a very thin plastic tablecloth with a very thin flannel backing. If you have ever used any of the flannel backed tablecloths from Dollar Tree, you would know they're very thin. So be very careful with cutting it out. I'm just going over all the areas, making sure I cut off all of the white part. I'm also making sure I don't really want the fins to be like super pointy either. So I kind of round those in and then paint those or cut those all out. Now, I was trying to think, I've used the fabric Mod Podge on the burlap before. Kind of works. So I wasn't sure how it would work with this fabric, but I thought since it was plastic, I might be able to iron it on. So that's what we're going to try to do with this. So I also need to get the wrinkle out of it. I was kind of worried about that interfering with attaching it too. So I thought we could try to iron that out carefully too. So I'm afraid, the plastic is going to melt. So what I'm going to do is just take some parchment paper from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put that underneath of it on my ironing mat, and then also put one on top of it to protect my easy press. You can always use an iron for this. I just have this in my crafting station, and I'm going to carefully iron it and see what happens. Well, as you can see, the plastic on the front wanted to stick to my parchment paper, but it was super easy to pull off. So I know it'll melt, but I'm not sure if it will melt on the burlap, but we're going to give it a try and see if this works. Now, I kind of need a spacer to go on the back since it has a frame, and I have found that the little bamboo cutting boards from the Dollar Tree work perfect for this, 2 of them underneath of the burlap canvas. I discovered that the other day when I was using HTV on these because I needed some kind of a plate to go in the back to make it iron on. So we're going to use the same kind of technique with the Dollar Tree tablecloth. So I kind of just lay him on there. The iron did a great job of getting the wrinkle out of him. And again, I'm going to cover it with parchment paper to protect my iron. And I'm just going to easy press over this. I'm like at 305 degrees, but you can use any iron if you don't have one of these. And I just kind of ironing over it. No idea if this is going to work. I did find that it was sticking to my parchment paper again. So what I did was just kind of try to get it started. Once you get it started, if you hold it flat, it's just like taking the transfer paper off of vinyl. You can just peel it right off. And it worked really well. You know, the flannel was so thin on the back that I think the plastic really helped to attach it. I'm going to put my parchment paper over it again and go over it one more time just to make sure everything is good and secure. It kind of melts it to the burlap. It also melted some sap there down in the corner that you see from the wood on the side. I've never had that happen before, but it's not too distracting. Now, there were a few little tips, like right here where it wanted to pull up when I pulled the transfer paper off, and some of the little flippers that weren't super stuck. And so then I just used some fabric Mod Podge. This is just like a special Mod Podge because it's a little bit thicker, makes it a little bit easier for fabric, and glue those down. Now, I got this frame at the Dollar Tree, and you can see my Mickey Mouse shirt in that reflection. Did you see that? I got this shirt because we went to Disney World for my son's graduation. We had family in town, and they all wanted to go to Animal Kingdom. It was so much fun. So this blue frame, I thought we could give it a makeover and make it look beachy. It's an 8x10 frame, so it's going to kind of fit the 8x10 canvas. You have to be really careful when you take these little staples out. Normally, if I bend them back down and just pull them out, I don't have any problems. On this one, though, it did kind of crack one of them, but I was going for a beachy distressed look, so it might even add to it a little bit. Now, I love the color. I think the color is perfect, but I don't like that metallic gold. I don't think that looks very coastal or beachy at all. So we're going to have to give this frame a makeover to make it go with our little sea turtle canvas. So I started with some chalk paint in the color of cashew. I thought the chalk paint might stick to that like metallic color. It's a little bit harder to cover than if it was just regular paint. And I'm just going all over all of the gold parts with that. I'm not taping it off, and I don't really care if I get some on the blue because I want it to all be super distressed and coastal looking, but I do want to cover most of the metallic if I can. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the inner part of our frame. In the end, I want like it to look like an old distressed like blue frame. So I also take a chunky brush and distress the frame after I get like the gold edges kind of painted that lighter sand color. I always use this cashew chalk paint by Waverly because I think it kind of looks like the color of sand, but it does good for like a driftwood look as well. And it did take a couple coats, even with chalk paint, to try to mask that metallic feel. I mean, I love the blue frame. I don't know if I would buy this one again, though, because I had to paint so much of this that I might as well have just painted the whole thing. Sometimes I buy the gray ones. They've been kind of falling apart of me a little bit, though, when I went to put canvases in there. So this one did a little bit better job today, but I wasn't quite as aggressive with putting my canvas in there. But I love that the 5x7 and 8x10 burlap canvases from Dollar Tree are like standard sizes so that you can use frames and you don't have to make them. So you can kind of see the notch where it kind of busted right there on the right side, but I think it's probably going to add to the charm. A little bit of natural distressing, right? So I'm just going over all of the metallic parts until I've pretty much masked all of the gold. Then I'm going to distress all of the frame anyway. I like that original turquoise color, but I want to kind of mix it up and make it look distressed and different colors of blue as well. So like this color is like that cloudless color. We'll mix some of that in there as well. Or actually, I think this color was Caribbean blue. And I just distressed, you know, a little here, a little there, just to bring another shade of blue in it too, just to make it nice and coastal. That's what I meant, that, I might as well have just got a different frame because the gold metallic was a little hard to mask. That super shiny finish. So I distress with blue, then I go back and distress again with that cashew color, and I think that looks super beachy. Now there's I'm gonna be careful because when I try to pry these in here, my frames like to fall apart, and I don't want my frame to fall apart. So I'm trying to figure out which way kind of fits in there, kind of doesn't. We're gonna try to make it work. I'm gonna hot glue along the back of the frame to attach it so that I'm not super forcing it in there. But it is kind of going in there all on its own because you could see that was sitting pretty nicely. So I just kind of even that up, and then I'm going to hot glue the other sides from the back as well. And then I also hot glue the corners because that is where the frame falls apart on me every single time from the Dollar Tree. And I did 2 coats of hot glue on each corner. I've also used staples, but you got to be careful because the staples can go all the way through. I just want it to stay together. Then I'm going to use the existing back because I want this to be a stand-up sign, and it's already got the little leg on there. And to attach this is super easy. All you got to do is hot glue all around the back edges of your burlap canvas, and then just glue that cardboard piece back on there, and you have a nice little stand-up burlap sea turtle sign. I wasn't sure if this DIY was going to turn out, but I was very pleased with the results. The frame needed a little bit more painting than I would like, but I think it turned out really cute. And how cute is that sea turtle? I did have the little sap issue down here. I tried to melt it a little bit with my heat gun. It kind of made it a little bit better, but it's not super distracting from it. And then I just wanted to make sure that this flipper was going to stay put. So I put a little bit more Mod Podge on that. But otherwise, this coastal beach DIY is ready to go. Isn't he cute? I love him. And this is how it turned out. I love the burlap, like you can kind of see through it. But the sea turtle attached to it really well, and nobody would know that was a little sea turtle from a Dollar Tree tablecloth. And I was just in Dollar Tree, and I was really happy to see that they brought that sea turtle line back for the summer section, so you should be able to find those tablecloths. Now for the next one, we're going to be using one of the galvanized metal shore living shells. Again, I don't think they had these this year, but my Crafter Square still has them from time to time that are left over, I think. And then one of these little signs, this is kind of beachy, as you can see, but it's actually just from the regular like decor department at Dollar Tree. It's not something that's with the shore living line, but I guess it could be. But I am just actually gonna redo it completely and kind of make it my own. And I always like to work on the back of the Dollar Tree projects because it kind of gives you like a blank canvas to kind of start off with. So all I did was just remove the tag on the back there, and then we're gonna kind of tape off this little bottom section here. And I'm going to show you how I kind of combine these 2 items together to make a really cute little beach decoration. So the first thing we're going to do is paint this. I am actually mixing 2 colors together. This is like Caribbean blue and ivory mixed together. And it's going to give me that really soft beachy blue, which is kind of what I'm going for with this project. Right here on the top. Now here is the little galvanized metal shell. I never know quite what to do with these things because they're usually like a hanging item, and sometimes you don't want them to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to cover up the little holes there in the metal part of the shell with just some masking tape. I thought that might work a little bit better than trying to spackle like that thin metal. I don't think that would work at all. So we're going to give that a go. And I want to use a chalk paint because I want really good coverage. So I'm just using some ivory chalk paint and going all over. I also kind of wanted like a thicker paint like this to give me a little bit of texture because, again, we're trying to cover up like the masking tape that we use to cover the holes. And, you know, we want to give it texture because the seashell is going to definitely have texture more so than just the lines in there. And so we're going to paint that all over, basically painting it the same color as my mat. So it's a little hard to see there. Sorry about that. Give it a quick dry, and I'm going to go over it with just a little bit more. You can paint this galvanized metal. It's usually not my first idea, but I think it made it look a lot better than it would have looked if I would have left it like that metal color. Now I want to spell out my own word on here, and so I'm going to use some of these little galvanized metal letters from the Dollar Tree to spell it out. They're just the right size. Now, you have to be careful when you buy these at the Crafter Square at Dollar Spot because you're only getting half the alphabet when you do the metal. So I just am going to spell out the word beach, and I kind of want to do the same thing that I did on the metal shell. So just painting them all over with ivory chalk paint. And so we have like that wood base that's really pretty on that sign, and the light blue sign, and then our little metal seashell and our letters painted ivory. I do want them to look a little distressed though, so just going over everything with Antique Wax by Waverly, and it gives me that cool texture and color that you would see like on a real seashell. Now, I've done this technique on a plastic Shore Living dish as well, and that's really going to give you the texture to make it look real. This one doesn't look, it doesn't really look like a real shell, but it looks cool. And I'm going to go ahead and distress the letters as well. If you ever feel like you distress too much, you can go back a little bit with your original color, which mine was ivory, distress it a little more to brighten it up. So we have our little blue sign. I'm going to kind of try to find the center just so I can center my center letter. That's going to help me a little bit with spacing. And I'm just going to attach those to that base with glue. I like that wood grain. I think that looks really nice and beachy already. So we're just going to glue our letters on here. You could spell out whatever you want. Using this size letter though, you're not going to have a lot of room for a very big word. And if you wanted, you could use, like, the other side did have, like, a beachy saying on it as well. I wanted mine to be a little bit simpler with just the word beach. So that looks pretty good. Now I think we can just put this thing together. So I'm just going to use hot glue to attach the little metal shell to the sign. And I do kind of have a love-hate relationship with hot glue and galvanized metal. Sometimes it holds up pretty well. Sometimes it doesn't. This one actually did. I added more hot glue to the back and just used some of the Dollar Tree wood dominoes to kind of fill in that area. You could also use like a little Jenga block or something like that. Or you could use like some E6000. That works really well for the metal items. But if you do have one of those metal seashells or can get them, this is just a really fun way to display it. And I'm always looking for things to do with it. They have so many galvanized metal items like that from Dollar Tree that I think a lot of people struggle with crafting sometimes. Okay, next DIY, we're going to use some Dollar Tree craft wood. This is also really great to make signs with if you can't find the shelves that I used before. It's a different shape and size, and I wanted to show you something a little bit different. So we're going to use that one for this one instead of my favorite shelves. It is also nice and thick and not bowed. Real wood, I love that. One side of the wood is real rough and one side is real smooth. So we're definitely going to paint the smooth side, make our job a little bit easier here. So I'm just using like an ivory acrylic paint all over. As you can tell, that wood like really kind of soaked it in. So I am going to have to dry that and go on there with another coat. And what I'm going to do is put these two boards together to make a larger sign. And we're going to do some more rope art. I thought it was still a little faint, so I went over with another coat there. And then I'm also going to distress it with a little Antique Wax by Waverly and a chunky brush, just working in one direction. And then I follow that up with a baby wipe just to give that nice coastal farmhouse distress look that I love. Now it's time to put these two together too. I do a bead of hot glue to glue them together. And it wasn't holding great, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more hot glue. And I decided to use a little jumbo popsicle stick and some hot glue to brace it in the back just to make sure that it stays together because the boards are a little bit heavy. Now for this one, we are going to do rope art octopus. I've seen people do many versions of these, and so you can use mine for reference, or you can go online and kind of look at what other people have done. I'm definitely sketching this one out with a pencil because, you know, an octopus has 8 tentacles that we got to fit in here. And so this is how I did mine. I'm going to have like 4 of the tentacles in front and then like 4 of the tentacles coming from behind. I want to include most of them on this sign, but some of them are going to be cut off just because they kind of have to be, like that one. And I kind of want to fill in the side areas too with them. So just kind of think about where you want them to be. The ones that go behind it, you're going to want to go behind everything so you don't have any lines there where you really don't need any. And basically everywhere that I am drawing a tentacle, everywhere that I'm putting the pencil, I'm going to have some rope. So I have all 8 tentacles. This is how exactly I drew mine. I will try to remember to put a picture of this in the Facebook group so you can use it for reference if you want to make yours similar. Then I'm going to use that same cloudless apple barrel paint and a tiny brush and just go 1 tentacle at a time. I know it's asking a lot to freehand this stuff and not use a stencil, but I really think that freehand is kind of the way to go on these. Especially if you use a pencil like that, because if you mess it up, you just erase it and draw it again. So don't be scared. I promise it's going to turn out cute. So I just do 1 tentacle at a time, and I'm just going to take my time, try to stay in line. We're going to do the entire octopus that color, and it's kind of like a cartoon version of an octopus. Very simple. Anybody, I think, could draw it. You just kind of have to get your tentacles all to fit and all to kind of make sense. So I have this tentacle from the back kind of gets cut off, and this tentacle here kind of gets cut off. I kind of wish I would have started my octopus a little bit higher because I kind of have extra space at the top and not quite as much space at the bottom as I would have liked. And I'll show you how I fix that when I go to hang this. But only a few more tentacles here to paint. And then we can paint the octopus too. You can kind of see my pencil lines through my paint, so I can kind of still see where I need to put my rope. And we're just going to finish off the rest of the octopus with that blue color. Now, since we are like doing 8 tentacles and they're really not that large, I'm going to use that same twine from Walmart because it's kind of an in-between size between the jute cord from Dollar Tree and the Dollar Tree rope. And I am using a finer tip hot glue gun because I don't want a whole lot of hot glue because this rope's not super thick. And I just started right there at that section of the tentacle there at the bottom and then gluing it up around our little octopus head. With the octopus head, you kind of want to make it bulbous shape like that, kind of like a light bulb. And I'm going to continue this same piece of twine as long as I can. That'll make it a little bit easier. And this Dollar Tree cord, or Dollar Tree Walmart jute cord, is definitely a little rough. So you'll notice I do a lot of trimming and pulling out of some of the crazy fibers as we're going along, just trying to keep it as clean as we can. And I'm still going on this same piece. Since this is the front part of the octopus, this part should be easy. I'm kind of trying to remember which tentacles were in front. So this one here was in front too. I'm going to go ahead and do like a sharp little turn there, pinch that together, and then have that come down and around this tentacle, and then it's going to go off of the sign. So I will have to end this one and start a new one. So I'm just going to cut that off there at the bottom of the board. And we're going to start here on that same tentacle and try to continue this on. And again, I can kind of see my pencil lines there, so I kind of know what was where. And this one was a front tentacle too in my plan. So I go straight to the bottom, trim it, start again on the other side of that tentacle, pinch it again, try to keep this one going. And this one went way up here, down. And so I go around that all the way down it. And then this one's going to kind of come up and kind of have a dead end here, right about here. Because that other one right next to it is part of this tentacle that's going to be coming from behind it. And so now it's just a matter of cutting pieces to fit all of the smaller sections, like that tentacle and this one back here, until we have it all outlined. And I think this is so fun. When my son said that I should make an octopus DIY, and I was like, I am making an octopus DIY. And he was like, yay. I was like, how did you know? But make sure you don't cut them too short. I did have to kind of patch one there. And just trying to fill up all of the edges that are kind of exposed there of all of our little background tentacles. So this was a lot of little rope and gluing, but super fun to create. And again, you could do about any sea creature. So today we've done a sea turtle, we've done a nautilus, and now we're doing an octopus. So I got it all on there. I'm going in with my lighter, burning off all the fuzzies, trying to clean that up a little bit. And I didn't really like the extra spot on the top of my sign, so I took it to my saw real quick, trimmed it down a little bit just to make myself happier. And now we can drill some holes to make a hanger because I want this cute octopus to be a hanging sign. So this is 11 inches long, this craft wood from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to do like 2.5 inches in from each side. And then this is just heavy duty wood, so we're just going to use a drill right through there and make our own hangers. Kind of a step you don't have to do if you do use the little shelves. I'm going to go ahead and use that same jute cord from Walmart, hot gluing the ends, stringing it from the back, tying a knot in the front, and we're just going to make a simple little hanger for this. Now, I was trying to get opinions again from my son on this. I'm like, does my octopus need eyes? And, you know, we went back and forth, and then I was like, you know what? I think it does need eyes, but I think it's really cute without it. So you can see it before, and then you'll see it after. You can decide if you want your octopus to have eyes too. But I just started in the middle, over on the side where I thought the eyes would be, and we are just gluing little spiral patterns of that jute cord, kind of overlapping the jute cord on the side there until we get a nice size eye. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now it kind of looks like little hypnotized eyes on my octopus, like my octopus is hypnotized because it's got like that spiral shape. But you know what? I think it turned out really good, and I'm glad that I gave my little octopus some eyes because I think it gave him like a lot of personality. Now, the only other thing my son suggested, he was like, you know what? You did the dots on the sea turtle. Why don't you do dots the same way? And you can do 2 feet. So that's what I'm attempting to do. Using the tip of a tiny paintbrush from Dollar Tree dipped in some ivory acrylic. And I am just kind of doing little suction cup 2 feet, you know, on the bottom. I want to do it on the back ones if I can. I got kind of confused over on this side, like which one was my back tentacle and which one wasn't. So I'm going to kind of erase some of these on one that I didn't really want because that was actually a front one. And so half of our tentacles have little white dots on it. And I think it turned out so cute. So here it is. This is our rope art octopus. I think it's so fun. I think it would be really cute with coastal decor. It would be really cute in a kid's room as well because it's kind of got like a little bit of a cartoon vibe, but I love it. I have no idea where I'm going to put it. Maybe I might put it in a bathroom or maybe out in my Florida room. And some of you guys were asking for DIYs with outdoor living items because I know so many of you guys didn't get them in this year, which is a total bummer. Up next, let's make a mermaid gnome. I found this great little pencil case that's a mermaid tail from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use that with one of those little metal round signs from the Dollar Tree. Some cardboard from a pizza box, a wood bead for the nose. I get those on Amazon, but you don't have to use a bead that big, but I like my nose for my gnomes to be a little bit larger. And some Dollar Tree macrame cord. So the first thing we're going to do is paint our little gnome nose. I kind of want it to be flesh color, but I kind of want it to be pink too. So I had like this tan color that I went over the little wood bead with first. And then I followed that up with like a salmon color, kind of mixing the two colors together while it was wet to kind of give it like a little blushed little gnome nose for our gnome. Now, I have a couple of these little mermaid pencil bags, and I've always wanted to do something with them, and I haven't been able to figure out what to do with them until now. It worked perfect for a beach gnome. Now, it does have a zipper, as you can see, because it is like a little pencil case, so I do want to remove that. That's kind of in my way. So it was easy to kind of remove it from the back. The front was a little bit more difficult, though, because I didn't really want to cut through the mermaid scale pattern, you know, the little sequence. And so I'm just going to cut off the zipper. And then how I ended up doing it was just kind of pulling it a little bit and cutting the strings that where it was sewed on, so I don't really have to cut through any of the sequins. And that what's inside is a little white like cotton bag, which you could leave in there if you want. I decided what was the purpose of it really to be in there, so I just took it out. And that looks pretty good. It's got like a plush back and a sequins front. But I'm going to use that bag that I removed for a template for my pizza box. I was trying to find some cardboard because I want something stiff to go in the mermaid tail to make it stand up. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of floppy. So I cut out the cardboard about the same size as the little bag that went inside of it to make it rigid. And we're just going to put it right in there. Now, I kind of want it to be attached so it'll be easier to put together. So I do a little bead of hot glue on the cardboard and kind of fold my sequins over, kind of sandwiching that in. My sequins part was a little bit longer because I didn't remove any of that part of the little mermaid tail. It's so pretty. I love the colors on this. And then I thought this little sign from the Dollar Tree, they have these available in white or black. It doesn't matter which one you get because you're not really going to be able to see it. We're just going to use it for the structure and for the base. So that's going to be our gnome. And we're going to build off of that. Most of the gnome that you're going to be able to see is the beard anyway, right? So this is macrame cord that I got at Dollar Tree. If you can't find this, you could always use Dollar Tree mop heads. There's lots of other options. There's like the fluffy mop head, or you can get, you know, like a traditional mop head. You can use lots of different kinds of white strings if you wanted to have yours to have a white beard, like I do. So I'm going to kind of start here on the bottom. And I want to do like a first layer of the beard. I want the beard to be nice and thick, so I'm going to end up doing a couple of layers here. And I'm just kind of cutting the cord down like one at a time and just hot gluing that to my sign, kind of like working my way up the circle there until I kind of get over to the side where it's going to be wide enough for like the hat to come down over it. And one of my Crafty Beach Bum viewers was telling me that these are called gonks, if you can't see their eyes. So that's just a random little gnome fact. But I love making gnomes, and I thought this would be a really fun little beach project today. We have a lot of variety, though. We have lots of different things that we're making today. I can't wait for you to see. Now, once I got my first row on there, I wanted to comb it out. Now, normally I can comb this stuff out but I was having problems with this one, and it's like 3 strings wound together for the macrame cord. I found that it was easier just to actually just unwind them. So I'm going to skip that part, kind of get to the end, so that you can see what it looks like with the first row all unwound. And as you can see, it's a good start to a beard, but it's not quite thick enough. But I'm going to go ahead and trim it while I can get to this part of the beard, kind of making it a little bit shorter on the sides. And I don't really want it to be longer than my sign itself, so I need to trim the bottom part of it too. Just trying to even that up a little bit. And then I think like the little gnome nose will go there. I'm going to attach the wood bead there with like the hole in the wood bead going straight up and down so that you won't be able to see it. The hole in the top will be covered by the hat and the hole in the bottom will be pointed down. So it's just a matter of making a second row now for our little gnome beard. So I kind of figured out what size I needed and just kind of cut them in bulk to make this a little bit faster. And then just starting on the side of his nose, we're just going to start gluing these on here until we get over to this side. This little beach gnome was so easy to put together, and I was really kind of wondering, what to use for a body. And then I kind of thought about this sign and realized, it doesn't really need a body because you're really not going to be able to see it in the final project. But I love these little metal signs from the Dollar Tree. I'm always trying to find ways to craft with them. So just like before, the best way to make this look fluffy is to unwind it. So I just went all the way across and unwound all of the macrame cord, leaving a big, fluffy little gnome beard. So that's what it looks like at this point. I do need to trim it up, kind of like we did before. Trying to shape it into a cute little beard by trimming it. So cute already. And it's not even put together yet. So his little hat's going to go on like that. It is the perfect size for this side. It slides right over, and it doesn't fall over anymore since we put the cardboard from the pizza box inside. So I'm just going to flip it over and add some hot glue and glue the back of the little mermaid tail pencil case to the back of the sign. And it's going to be kind of a flat gnome, but it's still super cute. And then I'm going to put hot glue underneath the sequins and kind of pull it down a little bit where its eyes would be. Kind of like that. I like the little fin at the end of the tail because it kind of like goes over to the side, which makes it look really cute when you display it. Now I wanted to decorate the hat a little bit more, and I love this mesh white ribbon from the Dollar Tree. Actually, is this the white one? Yeah, this is the white one. But it's a little too thick for this, so I'm just going to cut mine in half to make a thinner ribbon. I think it looks a little bit like fishnet, and I like to use it for fishnet a lot. So I thought we would just wrap fishnet all around the mermaid tail, and we could do a little bit of coastal decor there. At first, I was going to put one of those little mermaid chipboard pieces on there, but I ended up deciding to decorate the fishnet with shells instead. So we're just going to secure that to the back. I just thought shells would make it look really super beachy and fun. And so using some of the little tiny shells from the Dollar Tree, these are the ones that come in the little glass bottles. I'm just going to decorate the fishnet ribbon with a couple different kinds of shells. I think that the starfishes from Amazon, I buy those little tiny starfish on there. Those are available in my Amazon shop below. And then I think that little like snail shell is like just from my personal stash, but all the other ones there are from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to do 2 on top, 2 on bottom. I just kind of wanted them to all be a little bit unique and make some fun decor. And just hot glue those to the sequins on the hat. Then to finish it off, I have 2 of these little coral pieces from the fairy garden section at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue 1 little piece of coral to each side just to decorate the base. that will be kind of in front of our gnome, and the beard will kind of hang down and fill up all of the space there where the gnome would be. And I think it looks really cute. That's kind of how it looks like with all of the macrame cord just untangled. I thought maybe we could make it look even a little bit fluffier if we were to comb it. Before I tried to comb it, and I couldn't really comb it to unwind it like I wanted to. But at this point, I can get a comb through it. So that's what I decided to do, is just comb it out, make it nice and fluffy. That also helps you to see if you have any like loose fibers, or if anything then needs to be trimmed up a little bit. And so we're going to give him a final trim. And I think he looks pretty good. What do you guys think about this little beach gnome? I think he turned out so precious. And I'm so glad I put him together. I can't wait to display him in my home. And let me show you what he looks like. See, the little tail, you can kind of like push it off to the side a little bit, kind of tilt it, give it a little character. And our little mermaid tail gnome hat with a little beard and some coral in front. I think he's so sweet. I love him. I hope you do too. Okay, are you ready for another sea creature? I thought this ribbon from the Dollar Tree, that's that burlap ribbon they have all the time, would make great tentacles for a jellyfish. I also have some macrame string that I got at the Dollar Tree, but any white string will do, and some of the white burlap from the Crafters Square section. I also got a long skinny sign, so I thought we could like turn this vertically and it'd make a great background for a jellyfish. Jellyfish are beautiful. They sting, but they're beautiful. So since I'm going to be using it the other way, I just went ahead and took the hanger off because it's not going to work. And then I'm just going to cut out a little square of this white burlap, which I'm so glad they got this in because I love crafting with it. I do have white burlap available in my Amazon shop below if you're not lucky enough to find any at Dollar Tree. Because that's how I've always bought it in the past. They do sell like 6-inch rolls, I think is what I normally got by there. And then I'm just going to use a Sharpie, and I'm not using a stencil or anything, but I'm just going to draw out the top of a jellyfish. It's super easy. It's like half a circle, like little wavy lines at the bottom like that. It looks like a jellyfish. And I think that's going to fit on our sign. So I'm just going to cut the inside of the Sharpie, so I cut all of that color off. And this was kind of an easy thing to cut out, but if it was more complex, a lot of you guys have suggested that if you Mod Podge this first and let it dry, cuts really well with no fraying, so there is that. But I had pretty good luck on this one. So I kind of want to tilt it to the side, kind of giving it that jellyfish vibe, like it's like undulating through the ocean. And I'm just going to leave the background. I love these wood signs from the Dollar Tree. I think they're so pretty. And I put a layer of Mod Podge down first, and then I put the burlap, and then I do Mod Podge over because you can't really Mod Podge it too much. I want it to stay down. And I didn't really have too much fraying there, but I did clean up what I had. And I did use maybe a little bit too much Mod Podge, so I'm just going to clean that up a little bit here with a baby wipe, and then we can start making tentacles. This one was so easy. This just totally reminds me of like those larger tentacles that come out from jellyfish, you know what I mean? So I thought we probably only have room for like 2 of them on here because this sign is pretty skinny. So I'm just going to start here at the top and attach it there. Now I'm not going to glue it all down. I'm only going to glue it down here and there. That way it looks like it's like twisting and turning. Some of it's lifted up off the sign. You know, it's switching directions like a little jellyfish tentacle would be. And I think that looks pretty cool. So there's definitely room to do at least 1 more of those. I initially wanted to do 3, but I didn't think I was going to be able to make it work. So again, I'm going to start at the top. And then I'm just going to kind of do like a random pattern down like I did before. Just doing a dot of hot glue whenever I want it to like switch directions or kind of like raise things up. And I think that looks pretty good. Now for the rest of the tentacles, I'm using some of that macrame rope from the Dollar Tree. This is awesome, but you could also use like any kind of cotton twine. They usually have that in the hardware section if you can't find this. It's going to be pretty similar. And I'm going to do the same thing for this. I'm only going to like attach it in certain spots so that it'll give it that curly shape like a little jellyfish tentacle would have, and kind of fill in the left side of the sign with this. Now I probably should have used maybe my more fine tip hot glue gun with this, because this hot glue gun does like spill out like a lot of hot glue, and I did have to go in and try to clean that up a little bit at the end, but this one's going to kind of overlap. It's nice and thin, so I think it's okay if it overlaps some of the other tentacles. And again, just a curvy fashion. And then I think I have room for one more right here in the middle. And again, I want to just make it curve. It's so easy to do by only gluing down some parts of it. And I like the tips to be a little bit curved as well. I think that looks cool. And then I'm going to have to go in and clean up a little hot glue, because again, my little dots of hot glue were maybe not so much dots, but I always do that with my heat gun, and my Cricut weeder works really well for that too. Now it just needs a hanger, so I'm just going to take some twine and tie a knot. I have that frame to work with, so I can just staple it from the back, and it's thick enough to accommodate that. Make a knot on the other side, and now we have a new hanger. This was so easy to make, and I think it's so whimsical and cool, cute. It wouldn't take up very much room if you had a small place in your home that needs something. It might just need a little jellyfish. So everything came from the Dollar Tree. I think it's nice and simple. No blue on this one, just different colors of browns and ivories. But I think the tentacles are really fun. What do you guys think about this one? I have this one hanging in my bathroom, and it looks so cute. Okay, this DIY is going to be so easy. I love this little relax sign from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. I don't love that it's thin, and I don't really like the boat on there, but we're going to make this sign our own. So I just used my heat gun and a spatula and popped that right off. Unfortunately, they put a picture of a sailboat right underneath of it. I was kind of hoping that it would just be wood boards, but that's okay. We will work around that. I want to replace that. Now, these signs, the color is perfect. I thought I was going to do a starfish at first, but a sand dollar would work. It's going to cover most of it, and we'll make that cover all of it. Now, the only thing I don't love about these signs is they tend to bow, so try to make sure you get a flat one whenever you're buying the long signs. To make it look a little bit more high-end, I'm just going to use a razor and try to cut like directly on the little line between the boards to make an opening there, to kind of make it look like there are 3 little individual boards, just an easy little hack. Now, I also like to distress these normally, but this one I'm actually just going to go in with a sanding block, and you can sand like the seam that you just made where you made the cut, but you can also sand the paper, and it almost gives you exactly the same kind of distress like if you were to paint it. So I didn't even need to distress it after that. The sandpaper did a great job. Now, my sand dollar from the Dollar Tree is not quite large enough, so I thought we would just make it a very simple little burlap background with some of that burlap roll from the Dollar Tree. I just need like a tiny square to go behind it. I don't want to cover up any of the letters of relax. I just want a little background there that's going to look coastal and beachy, but it's going to serve the purpose of covering up that sailboat that they insisted was going to be on the sign, right? So that looks a little big, so I'm just going to trim it down until I'm happy with it. The burlap's really easy to cut straight, because if you just follow like the grain of the burlap, you can get a nice straight line. Then I'm going to attach that with Mod Podge. Burlap doesn't normally like to stick down too much with Mod Podge, but if you go over the top, make sure it's really good and wet, you can get it to stick pretty well. So I'm just going to give that a quick dry, and then we can attach our little sand dollar here right to the front. I'm just going to hot glue anywhere I can, and that glue will seep through the burlap and stick to the little relax sign. I think it's perfect, and how easy was that? That's totally a 5-minute DIY. This is how it turned out. And they seem to switch these signs up every year. They look a little bit better, I think, every year, but this is a fun way that you can just kind of take whatever decor they have on there and just replace it with a few couple of items and make it look so much better than it did before. Okay, next DIY, we're going to take a Dollar Tree sign. This is the one I'm using. I just wanted something with a frame that was kind of rectangular in structure. Doesn't really matter what you get because we're going to take it apart. We're going to be painting the frame and stuff. Don't need any of this stuff on there, the little line that goes across. I just need the frame. And what I want to do like a little cutout DIY for this. Wanted to do like another shark. So I wanted to get kind of creative and see what kind of items I can use. This is a Target dollar spot like seagrass purse that I've used for other DIYs. But if you don't have one of those, you could always use one of the little bags from the Dollar Tree like this. And this is me trying to decide which one I'm going to use. I decided to go with this one because I already had it cut and it's definitely going to be big enough. What I want to do is cover the background of our little sign with this, and then using some of the Dollar Tree removable wallpaper, I want to do kind of a cutout that exposes the seagrass behind it. Kind of a technique I'd never really tried before, but I thought maybe we could try pulling this off. I'm going to do a shark shape, but you could do any kind of sea creature. It'd be really cute. So I just cut that down to the size of the back to that picture frame. And I'm just going to hot glue that down to it. Now, I've never tried cutting the removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree with my Cricut machine. I'm trying to remember the setting. I'll have to look it up. I did record the setting that I used to cut it, and I'll put that in the description below because it did take a little trial and error to get it to cut through. Now, I also need a piece of a foam board from the Dollar Tree in the same shape. This one's black. It's all I had. So I'm just going to cut that foam board down to shape because the thickness of that wallpaper is not going to be thick enough, I think, to do what I want to do. And so I need something to attach that to. So just cutting the foam board down into a rectangle the same size of our picture that we're doing to give me, you know, like a thicker surface to cut through to do the cutout. So just making sure that's going to fit in the frame, just kind of trimming it up a little bit. It can be a little challenging to cut the foam board. And I go ahead and remove the hanger too because it was kind of getting in the way. Now, I don't really like the dark wood finish, so I'm going to give it a driftwood vibe on here by mixing some antique wax by Waverly together with some ivory acrylic and distressing all over with chunky brush to make this a lighter, airier looking coastal sign frame. And it's okay if the wood grain shines through. It's going to kind of make it look distressed, but definitely trying to brighten it up from how it looked before. And this is that removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree where I cut out like the shark shape in here. And this is definitely my favorite pattern. I think it's so tropical. So I thought this would make a really cool art piece. So what I'm going to do is weed the little shark out that we cut out in it. And again, I definitely had to play around with the settings to get a good cut on this because it wasn't obvious like which setting to use. And we're going to peel off the back of the wallpaper. Now we're just going to stick that directly onto the foam board that we cut out. And we're going to use that as a template to do a cutout through the foam board as well. Because again, remember, I want the seagrass to kind of be behind it, but I didn't want to just lay that wallpaper directly on top of the seagrass. I wanted it to have a little bit of depth, which is why we're doing the foam board. So once I have it on there, I just use a razor blade from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to go around the shape of the shark silhouette. I kind of do the body first and worry about the fins later because it's a little tricky to cut this out. I go to the back to make sure it cut all the way through and just pop out the pieces. Then I can go back and do all of the little fins as well. And that's why it didn't really matter that my foam board was black, because you really can't see it because it's white inside still, just like the other white foam board would have been. And I'm just trying to clean it up the best I can with like a little Cricut weeder to get out any little pieces. And there is our little shark cutout that we can put over the top of our seagrass background. Now I noticed you could see some of the like black paper torn here and there from the cutout. So I do go over the insides of it with just a little ivory just to brighten that up and cover up any tiny pieces of black that you might still be able to see. I don't really care if I get too much on there because I am going to go back and distress this because hello, I distress everything. I'm just using a brush kind of all over, distressing in one direction with that same ivory and wiping off the excess with a baby wipe just to give a little bit more character to that wallpaper, make it look a little bit less glossy and a little bit more artsy, if you will. Now we can lay it on top of the seagrass. I think it's starting to look pretty good. It's definitely a unique piece that I just kind of had in my mind. And there is our frame that we painted to kind of look more like driftwood. Now it's just time to put it back together. So just putting our wallpaper covered foam board inside first. Making sure everything is good, and then we can put this seagrass on the back. Now this did have like the existing staples on there. I wasn't sure how good it was going to hold though because it's kind of thick. So I do go back in there with some hot glue to secure that in place all around the edges. And I want quite a bit because I also want to be able to glue on the back of the seagrass too. And just glue that all into place. And there it is. It looks pretty cool. I want to hang mine, so I'm just going to attach a little sawtooth hanger here about halfway in the middle. And this is so lightweight that I'm just going to use hot glue to glue it on. I'm not messing with any of those little tiny screws. And it was pretty easy to make, I think. Now, I got to this point and I liked it, but I thought maybe we could add a little bit more texture to it, right? So I'm going to add just some twine. This is that thicker twine that I get at Walmart. It's a little thicker than the one from Dollar Tree, but you could probably get the same effect from that. And I thought we could do like just a little fun, like ocean wave out of twine across the bottom of this DIY, just to add a little bit more character to the piece. So I'm just gluing a very basic wave shape, and we're going to do that all the way across. Now, I think I still have the cutout file for the Cricut for the shark. I will try to remember to share that in the link below as well. I have lots of files I need to include on this video for you guys to replicate some of these DIYs, but there's our little shark cutout against the seagrass. I love the different textures of the seagrass. We have the wallpaper, we have like the driftwood frame, and then we also have the jute twine forming some waves along the bottom, just for fun. and because I thought maybe it might be a little bit off center. I'm not sure if I still have that sharp cut file, but if I do, I will link it in the description below. Hey guys, have you visited my new website? It's craftybeach.net. I just started this website this spring and it's a one-stop shop. So if you go there, I'm going to have a blog post for each one of my DIY videos. Right now I have like Easter, spring, and like coastal, beach, summer stuff on there. If you click on the video, you're going to see a photo of each one of my DIYs that you can then pin on Pinterest so you can remember to make it. If you scroll down, you can find my corresponding YouTube video with exactly how I put it together. I'm going to have everything, kind of classified by season. I also have like a link to my Amazon shop on there as well if you're looking for specific items that I may use in my videos that aren't from Dollar Tree. And I even have a link to my Etsy store if you want to get some of those fun crafting meme printables that I sell on there. So craftybeach.net, brand new website, trying to get it established. So if you could visit, I would really appreciate it. Now for the next DIY, I'm using one of these shore living signs. They seem to switch these up every year too, but this is going to give you a general idea. This is the one that I got there last year. Plus one of their like long signs that's like the plain white with like, it's got like a slatted texture on there. And what I want to do is kind of combine them together, but I'm going to kind of change it up. So I want to find the center of my sign just for reference. And I thought while I was back here, I'll go ahead and make a hanger. I did that by tying 2 knots on each end of the twine and gluing them to the back. Now this hanger did not hang properly. It made it like bow way out from the wall. So don't do that. I'll show you how I fix that. I'm not used to making really long signs like this without a hanger built in. So experiment and learn, right? So this sign is really cute. You guys have seen me make a planter for some of the shore living greenery out of these, but I'm going to show you how you can take them and kind of switch it up a little bit. I'm just pulling the twine out of the back and getting all of the staples out. I really like these images. I love the colors and the little cutouts on there. They're so cute. It looks so beachy. So I thought we would turn them sideways and make like a horizontal sign. Now, I like to try to make them look a little bit more high-end, and I just do that with some ivory acrylic and a chunky brush, and I'm just doing a light distress all over. And working in one direction, I just follow that up with a baby wipe if I get a little too much somewhere. But I thought we would do them in the same color scheme with like the teal on the left, like the aqua color in the middle, and the tan on the right. I kind of like how that looks together. And I want to do it on the sign. So just finding the center of that sign, we can center our little seahorse sign on there. And easy peasy, we're just going to hot glue this on right here in the center. The boards almost like match up. They are kind of going the same direction. And that sign, of course, is bigger, so I have a little bit of space here that I can work with to kind of spread these out a little bit. And then we're just going to hot glue the other 2 signs on. I'm just trying to get them like an equal distance away from the little seahorse sign that's on there. And we're going to leave the white sign this length. No cutting involved with this project, but I'll show you what I'm going to do to kind of disguise the hanger there over on the side and kind of take up some of the space. I'm just going to take some twine from Dollar Tree, hot glue that to the back. And then we're just going to kind of, go back and forth, wrapping that around until it looks good and you can't really see either one of the holes anymore. And then I'm just going to cut that and hot glue that to the back. Then to make it look symmetrical, I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing to the other side. Now, I have that hanger on there that didn't really work, so I actually end up using this part to make the hanger that does work to make it hang well. But I think the sign turned out really cute. It was so easy to put together, and it's just about the right size. I think it would look great above a doorway if you had like a coastal room. It's just the perfect size. Now, I thought it maybe needed a couple touches, so I'm just going to pick out like 2 little seashells that I have for my seashell collection. And I kind of mix my shells with Dollar Tree shells, with Dollar General shells, just wherever I can find them. And I'm just going to hot glue one over here to the left, kind of at an angle, just hot gluing that to the twine. And then on the other side, I'm going to kind of do the same thing, but I'm going to have it towards the top of the sign. And this is how it turned out. How coastal and cute is that? And it was so easy to put together. Now I tried to hang it. Again, that wasn't going to work. Now, there's a couple options you could do. You could tie from the twine on each side and do a long hanger that goes all the way across the top. I'm just going to take a little loop like this and feed it through the string here on the side and then just knot that off. That way I can raise or lower that as much as I need to make that hang properly. I basically slid that all the way up the twine, and I didn't really want visible hangers, but I kind of ended up with visible hangers on this one. You could always attach like a hanger to the back as well. But yeah, you definitely need a hanger on both sides or one big hanger to try to get it to, hang evenly. But this is how it turned out, and this is how it looks hanging from those hangers. I think it's so coastal and cute. I love those little signs from the shore living line. My favorite is definitely the seahorse one in the middle. It's so beautiful. And I actually have the sign hanging above the doorway to my bedroom. It looks so cute and beachy up there. Okay, you guys remember these? We're using them again because I wanted to make another sign, and I love making my own signs with these shells from the Dollar Tree because you can make a sign exactly the size that you want. You don't have to cover up any like old Dollar Tree sign with glitter and stuff on there. You know what I'm talking about? So this one is going to be a little smaller than the seahorse sign, and so I'm only going to need 2 of them. These have a nice wood grain too. Now I just bought some more of these today at Dollar Tree, and they're that plain raw wood that you usually get at the Crafter Square. But I'm totally digging the wood grain. I wish I could find more of those. I'm sure I can. I've been finding these pretty consistently at all of my Dollar Trees. Now this one I wanted to go lighter, so I'm using the Caribbean blue acrylic, but I'm mixing it half and half with white to give me that soft beachy blue. I love that. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of paint both boards, but I don't want full coverage. I want like some of that wood showing through. And we're going to make another coastal beach creature sign. This one turned out so cute. I made this initially to go outside, but you know what? I think I might be able to use this inside because it's adorable. So I got them both painted. I was waiting on my heat gun to get hot, or my hot glue gun to get hot, and I just went ahead and painted them first, and now we're just going to hot glue the 2 together. Just an easy sign. Now on this one, I'm going to make a sea turtle. So I'm going to use this rope from the Dollar Tree. This is the thinner brown rope. And I thought we could do like a rope sea turtle on the sign and use another one of the wood slices from the Dollar Tree for its shell. So this was really fun. It was a little experimental, but it totally turned out. I'm not going to miss an opportunity to make a sea turtle because I love a sea turtle. So I kind of cut off enough rope. I think that's going to make the outer shell, and it is a little fuzzy, so I'm just going to burn off any of the fibers that are sticking out there just with a lighter. And then I'm going to kind of start in this corner and kind of do like the pointy shape of like a sea turtle tail back here. I don't actually make the sea turtle tail separately. I just kind of point it back there just to make it a little bit easier. And then I want like the sea turtle shell to go up and then come down and point there at the tail. So I just go ahead and glue down the tail part first. And then it's a little tricky to get this to lay out how I want it. So I'm kind of just gluing one part at a time. I glue the top of its shell right there. And then I can kind of work my way down and glue around the right side of the shell there. And I kind of want it at an angle like this because I want it to look like the little sea turtle is swimming. So we got that all glued down. And then I want to go in and do like a inner ring here to kind of give it a little bit more definition. So I'm going to need enough rope to go around it and loop again. That's going to kind of give it the tail shape, but it's also going to give it just a little bit more structure around the edges. I do want like some of the blue to shine through though, through it, like his tail's going to look blue there. And like his like flippers and head will look blue because that's like what's underneath of the rope. But that's cool. That's kind of what I wanted. So leaving like a little 1/2 inch border around the outside of the shell, I'm just going in again and doing a separate ring like that. Now it's time to make little sea turtle flippers. So I just cut down some rope about the size of a sea turtle little flipper. And using hot glue, we're just kind of try to create that shape here in the back over on the side of the tail and do the back flippers. Now when I cut that one down, I cut a second one the same size so that they would be about the same length. I didn't give myself quite as much room over here for this flipper, but I think it's gonna fit, but just barely. And if it needs to hang off, it can just look like it's swimming, it's fine. But I did the blue background because I wanted it to look like it's swimming kind of in the ocean, right? So we're gonna do the same thing here on the front of our sea turtle. I cut down 2 more pieces of rope and then just using hot glue to get that shape. You could also use like the wired jute from the Dollar Tree, but it's gonna be thinner. And I kind of wanted this all to be like made out of the same kind of rope. That rope can be a little bit messy. I have to keep kind of dropping the fibers out of it because I want to make sure that doesn't get glued down. And whenever you're doing a sea turtle flipper, you just kind of want to get it that little pointy look. And that kind of makes it look like a sea turtle flipper. When we went to, when we went to the Virgin Islands, we went to, I think it was called Coral World, and my son and I got to go swim with the sea turtle in this like pool on the ocean, like a adult sea turtle, and we got to touch it and pet it and do all these things. It was like the fundraiser to save sea turtles because normally that's not a thing that you get to do, and it was amazing. Okay, so these are the wood slices we're going to try to use for the shells. I thought since these were round, these would be perfect for like little scoots for the back of the seashell so we could do like a little pattern. Now, I didn't really plan this out first. Maybe I should have, but I got pretty lucky about them fitting in here. I'm just trying to see how many I can fit in there, and I think that looks pretty good. So I think we came out pretty good, but it's kind of like a puzzle. You got to get it to fit. You might want to lay those out first and kind of draw on your lines. But it worked. Now, these wood slices are from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to attach them all to my turtle with hot glue, kind of trying to work a little bit in rows. Some of the rows are going to be a little bit curved, though. If you can't find these at your Dollar Tree, I think it would be pretty easy to make this with like any kind of a larger dowel or maybe even like a plunger handle from the Dollar Tree if you were to cut it down into slices. You might need to stain it a little bit though to get like this beautiful finish. These are already kind of stained, right? And just hot gluing them all down. And now we have our little turtle shell. Now, I thought it looked a little plain. It needed something, right? So I had that grass skirt left over from our seahorse DIY. And I thought, ooh, yeah, he needs like some seagrass that it looks like he's swimming through. So we're going to use that grass skirt to kind of simulate seagrass. So again, I just pulled the knot off the twine of the grass skirt. And we're going to make some seagrass kind of come up the side of him like that. And it always looks good when you kind of cut it like random heights too. I don't want to cover up the shape of the sea turtle. I want it to look like he's in front of the sea turtle. So like on this one, I'm going to cut it off when it gets to like his fin. and then I can always go in and continue that on the other side. Now I do use like a little bit of hot glue to kind of secure those so they'll stand straight up and stick to the sign and not like, you know, kind of fall over. It's not too sturdy. But I do still also want it up a little bit, a little 3D. So there, I just cut off another piece. So that's like that piece continuing from before, but like it's behind the sea turtle. And I think that looks pretty cool. So I'm going to kind of continue this all around to try to make it look, you know, like he has a nice background. I do like that I didn't paint all of the wood. So like I do have a little bit of that wood coming through too. I think that is a nice coastal touch. So we have like 3 groups of like seaweed over there. And then we can also do some over here. And again, when I cut them, sometimes I cut some of them short, some of them long. And I kind of just do like a couple tiny dots of hot glue to kind of keep them in place and make them go exactly where I want them to. That one's going to need to be really short. This one here, short as well. And then I kind of want to fill this in a little bit just to make it look consistent. And I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to put a little bit more over here. And I'm loving him. I'm not going to make a hanger for him because I was planning on putting him outside. But you know what? Maybe I need to put a hanger on him. Because outside I'm going to have to drill into the side of the wall. I don't know where I'm going to put him. But isn't he cute? Is there a little wood slice and rope sea turtle? Everything is from the Dollar Tree. And aren't those little wood slices beautiful? They seem to come in the round ones, like the slices. The ones that are a little bit different might look cute too. Any kind of pattern that you can give to the back of the sea turtle would be really fun and creative. And I think this was fun. Okay, next DIY, I got this castle like wood cutout, I guess, at Dollar Tree in the Crafter Square. And I wanted to make a fun like sandcastle DIY. So I thought we could use this to make a really cute like sandcastle sign. But of course, I don't want to paint it. I want to actually cover it with sand, right? So I'm using school glue and I'm doing a nice thick coat all over the front of our castle. Now, if you don't want to get super messy with sand, you could always paint this to look like sand. But, you know, I'm extra, so of course I wanted my sandcastle to be made out of sand. So I'm using Dollar Tree tan sand, and I'm going to sprinkle a nice thick coat of sand all over my school glue. Whenever I do sand projects, I always like to use school glue for the first coat, and then put some sand, and then I like to use some of this like spray glue from the Dollar Tree and just kind of spray that over to kind of glue all of the sand down. And at that point, I can put a little bit more sand on there. Now, this was really wet and I didn't want to mess up my sandcastle at all. And I was kind of done crafting for the night. So I just put this aside for the whole night while I was sleeping to let this get good and dry. That way, all of my sand will stay secure on there and it won't get any damage because this is going to be like on a hanging sign. But one thing I can do first is go ahead and get started on the sign part. So I'm going to use one of these little chalkboards from the Dollar Tree. You guys know I love those. They're great for crafting. They're nice and large, thick, and they don't bow. And I'm going to cover the chalkboard part with just some cheap contact paper from Dollar Tree, just so I have a little bit more of a finished back, because I want to work on the back of the chalkboard because then I won't have to worry about covering up all of that white paint and writing on there. Once I get it on there, I can use a sanding block from the Dollar Tree and just sand around all 4 sides. You're going to get a perfect cut of that contact paper and cover the back of your project, which is always nice to have a finished back, right? The only thing I don't like about these little chalkboard signs is the super sticky tag. So I'm going to use a combination of heat, one of my little craft scrapers, and then it's still going to leave a glue residue on there, but it's worth it. It's a really good sign. So I'm going to use a little glue gun from Dollar Tree kind of scrape off that. And then I'll have to give it, a little bit of a cleaning to try to get all of that oil residue off there from the Goo Gone. And I'm going to go ahead and use my Cricut weeder to poke some holes there in the back of the contact paper, because this is still going to be a vertical sign. We're going to be able to use those to hang this up. And just doing one more cleaning there to try to give myself a blank canvas here to decorate. Now I wanted to do a background for our sign, and this is the background for the sandcastle. This color is Caribbean blue is what I chose. What I want is just a very abstract, like ocean scene, like just the ocean and the sky. I thought that'd be a nice contrast from the blue and with the sand on the front. Now covering the black can be a little bit challenging. You might want to do white first, because otherwise it's going to take several layers. And as you can see, I'm using just acrylic paint, but it definitely takes lots of layers. So that's what it looked after in one. And then this is the second coat coverage. And then I'm just drying with my heat gun in between each coat to help speed this up. And then I decided to do my third coat horizontally, because I'm going to kind of want that kind of feel anyway if I'm doing an ocean scene, and to try to get a little bit better coverage too. So that's what it looks like with 3 coats. Now I can start going in. This is a turquoise color, and I'm just using a chunky brush from Dollar Tree and kind of distressing a very, very subtle like ocean on there. Kind of mixing the 2 colors together. And I kind of go back and forth between the colors until I have good coverage and, just a little bit of variation in color on the background for our sandcastle. And then I'm just going to use Dollar Tree twine, string that from the back and just knot that in the front just to make a new hanger for this sign. I'm also going to use my Cricut with this to add some words to the top to make a really cute sandcastle sign. And I do have that Cricut file for you if you want to recreate. I will post that in the description below, but this is what I cut out of my matte white vinyl. I get this on Amazon as well. And I love it because it's matte, so it goes very good with coastal farmhouse or beach decor. And I just said, welcome to our castle. I thought that'd be really cute for a little sandcastle sign. And I'm going to use my paper, transfer paper. I get this on Amazon as well. I love it. To transfer it onto that freshly painted sign. I did make sure that it was dry, but I just painted it. And this works great because it doesn't cause any damage to the paint. So I made it perfect to size here for the top to fit right up here. And then we can put the little sandcastle below it. So there's welcome to our castle. One thing I like to do with vinyl when you're adding it to a sign like that is to go back in with your original color, which mine was Caribbean blue, and lightly distress the vinyl to kind of make it look hand painted by working in one direction with a chunky brush. Now, this is my sandcastle after it dried all night long, so it's nice and solid. And then I'm going to use lots of hot glue on the back to attach this to the front of the sign. I was really impressed. I kind of turned it over a trash can, and I really only had a couple pieces of sand come off. It is really secure. And then just kind of press that on there, being careful not to try to damage my sand. I did kind of want to stamp windows on there and stuff like that, but I thought it would probably cause more damage than cause decor. So I'm just going to decorate the bottom of it. And I'm going to use a combination of those little tiny seashells from the Dollar Tree and the little starfish that I get on Amazon. And I'm going to kind of do a pattern, kind of repeat it here on each side, kind of a mirror image. And I thought that'd be a cute little final touch for this sign. Just a matter of hot gluing all of these little signs, little shells down. And I thought about I had some little coral gnome from the fairy garden section that I was going to put in the doorway, but I decided it was a little too much and I kind of liked it exactly where it was. So we are going to leave it at that. And it's a welcome to our castle sign. So cute. This is so cute if you put this by your entryway or something like that, or really anywhere. And as you can see, that distressing on the vinyl really helps to give it that hand-painted sign look. And I love that our sandcastle is really made out of sand. That is so quirky and fun. And a little row of seashells for the beach. And this is how it turned out. Our little welcome to our castle. The next DIY, I'm going to use some of the Shore Living glass stickers, so hopefully you have some of these left over from last year or the year before, because I didn't see them this year. And one of these little galvanized metal signs from the Dollar Tree. Now, I've used these before with some kind of a decal or glass sticker, and I was able to take the paint off of the front, where it says shine bright like a diamond. I'm pretty sure, but when I went in there with fingernail polish remover and my paper towel, I got nothing. So I don't know if I'm remembering wrong or if this is one of the ones that doesn't come off easily, but I didn't want to scratch it up or anything with a razor. And so, you know, the back is plain, so hey, we'll just go with the back. Because that's what I want it to look like. The frame kind of looks the same on the front and the back. You're just going to miss the rivets if you use the back, which is fine. Don't really need those anyway. And then this is the two dolphins jumping out of the ocean. This is another one of the new glass stickers from the Shore Living line this year. And I think it's going to fit in this little sign perfectly. And glass stickers on galvanized metal from the Dollar Tree is always a great idea because it can be challenging to decorate or to paint. But these just stick right on, just like a giant sticker. So we're just going to lay our little dolphins on there and press that down. Can't get any easier than that DIY, right? I think it looks really pretty. The only thing I'm not digging is that it has that writing on the back. And if I want to use this like on a tier tray or something like that, you might be able to see the back. So I'm going to just kind of finish it real quick, just so you can't see that anymore. But I think the dolphins on the metal look really pretty. So to cover that up, yeah, I told you it was bothering me. I'm just going to use some contact paper from the Dollar Tree, kind of the wood grain, totally doesn't matter. I'm just going to cut a strip of that. That's going to be large enough to cover those words and just kind of finish my back a little bit, just to make me happier with this. And I'm not going to cover the whole thing. I'm just going to cover where there's writing because it has those rivets and stuff sticking out. So just something to make it look a little bit better on the back. And just peel and stick that down. And that made me happier with the finished back on this DIY. But this was so easy to do. So another little glass sticker idea for those cute little Shore Living glass stickers. I'm totally loving the dolphins. I think this is so pretty. And this frame looks really nice too with that wood grain. And this is how it turned out. Our little galvanized metal sign with dolphins jumping up. A beautiful glass sticker design. I hope they bring those back because those were one of my favorite items with the Shore Living line. I know they made lots of changes this year. Next up is an idea for a wood round. If you're able to get one, Shore Living or other, a fun way to frame it. So I'm going to show you kind of a way you can take one of these beach signs from the Dollar Tree and make it even better. I wasn't very impressed with their ocean design on here, and I wanted to show you guys how you can paint a really quick, easy, abstract ocean scene. I did have to give it a coat of white acrylic first because it had that white shell on there. I didn't want that to show through on my ocean design. And I'm going to start with that cloudless color again. This is the same color that we used on the Adirondack chair. And we're just going to go over like the section. It kind of had like these little areas that kind of splashed at the top of it too. So I'm going to paint just the area blue and then kind of start painting those blue too. I'm going to use a couple colors. And this is Caribbean by Apple Barrel. It's kind of a darker teal. And I just kind of mixed that in kind of in the middle and let that dry. Going to go back with my original cloudless color by Apple Barrel. And I'm going to have to kind of do some waves up here because they kind of have like kind of the odd splashes, and I thought it would look more like the ocean if it were like actually kind of shaped into waves. So I'm going to take that same cloudless color and just kind of make those little points that were coming up kind of look like little curly waves. Super easy. I know a lot of people are doing like ocean with resin. My stores still haven't converted to Dollar Tree Plus, so I haven't seen resin available anywhere, and I haven't seen it at dollartree.com either, so I haven't got a chance to sample that yet. Now, I went in with that same Caribbean color. Now I'm going to make our cloudless color, and then I mix the two colors together to kind of give me more of a medium shade. Mix that in there too. You really can't go wrong with an ocean scene as long as you have like 2 to 3 colors of blue. You can just mix them because you want it to look like different shades. When you look out at the ocean, you see different shades of blue upon each other. So I just kept going in with those like 3 colors until I was happy with it. I think that looks really cool, right? Now it's time to kind of seal it. I'm not a fan of the glitter, but I do like the Seize the Day on there. So I'm just going to try to seal it with some matte Mod Podge. So I go over the top of that with that. And then I'm also going to seal my paint down here. I should have switched brushes though, because I got glitter from the top part into my ocean. And I don't like the glitter anyway. That's why I'm sealing it twice with that Mod Podge to kind of tone it down a little bit. But it did kind of get glitter in my ocean, so be careful because that glitter doesn't stay in place. I tried to wipe the glitter off with a baby wipe once it was dry, but it really wasn't going anywhere. So I'm just going to kind of touch this up. Some of the extra glittery places, try to tone that down a little bit. And we're going to add something to it as well. Like it had like a white shell on there, which would be really cute. You could really do like a shell, a starfish, whatever. I decided to do mine with a sand dollar from the Dollar Tree is what I'm going to decorate on there. But first, I'm going to show you how to make a really fun rope border for this. This is the macrame cord from Dollar Tree. Sometimes it comes in a roll and sometimes it comes like this. I don't know why, but I'm going to make a really cool frame for this. So what I want to do is take one piece of the macrame cord, wrap it all the way around so I know exactly how long of a braided rope I need. Then I'm going to use this macrame cord to make a braided wreath form. I'm not going to use a wreath form or anything. I'm just going to attach it directly to the sign, which is going to make it easier. And what I did was took the length of the one that I measured, and then I'm cutting out macrame cord twice as long. I didn't know if I was going to need twice as long, and I didn't. Maybe 1.5 times as long would be long enough, but I wanted to make sure that it didn't run out, that it wasn't too short. So I cut all of mine double. So I'm going to need a total of 6 pieces of the macrame cord because we're going to braid it, but we're going to braid it 2 at a time. So once I get 6 of them cut down, double length going around, I'm going to show you how I put this together. Now I have a silicone mat, so nothing sticks to it, not even like duct tape. So I'm going to use some just old scrap wood I had in my garage. I'm going to lay out my 6 macrame cord, and then I'm going to duct tape that down using another one on top just to help weigh it down so that I can kind of pull at it a little bit if I need to when I'm braiding it so I can kind of make it tight. I'm also going to use my reference one, which is the exact length of the side of the sign, so I'll know when I can stop braiding. Then I'm just going to flatten them all out, separate them into 3 things of 2, and then we are just going to braid this rope just like you braid hair. Now, I would like braid a section, and it kind of was braiding the underside there. So every time I kind of did like about 6 inches, I kind of had to stop and kind of unbraid the bottom part because I have the really long cords that we're working with. But I'm going to kind of take you through every step of this. I think it turned out so cute. And you could attach this to like one of those single wreath forms, single wire wreath forms from the Dollar Tree and hang the sign in between. But I'm going to show you an even cheaper option to kind of get the same look. So I have my first section braided here, just making sure it's nice and flat. Then I take my boards and I just roll that around so I can kind of still keep working on my work surface here, and so you guys can see Also, you know, using my reference line there is wrapped around the boards as well. So this part was actually really easy. I would just braid a section like that. Make sure I untangle all the rest of the ends and then roll it and keep going. I want it to be a little bit longer than my reference piece so that I will have plenty of the braided rope to work with. And I want it to lay fairly flat like that in a braided pattern. I've seen people make wreaths with these using clothesline. And I am just loving this macrame cord from Dollar Tree. I have found so many uses for it, and it even comes in colors now, but I'm usually finding myself using the white the most. If you see it, pick it up. So it is long enough now, so I can just go ahead and unwind it from my board. And it's got like 6 cords, so I can't really tie it. That would make like a huge knot, right? So what I'm going to do is just kind of gather it together like that. And then I'm going to put just some hot glue on there to kind of glue it to itself so it won't fall apart when I cut that down. So that's how much I had left over. So I'm thinking instead of twice the length going around, you probably only need about 1.5, I would guess. And we have our cord. I glued that to itself so that end is not coming unwound. Gonna trim off a little bit more just to clean that up a little bit. And then this end is attached by duct tape. I'm gonna kind of leave it like that for now. And now I told you we were not going to add a wreath form to this. We're just going to use the sign to make it cheaper, easier. We're just going to frame it out. And I'm so glad it made this like cheap Dollar Tree sign look so much more high end. I really love how this rope border turned out. I'm going to start along the top and do hot glue like 1/4, a quadrant here of it, and just start hot gluing that rope border to the sides, overlapping the edges a little bit so that you can't see the wood round. And it's going to give you that same kind of feel as if you did kind of like a rope wreath around it. Isn't that cool? This is such a fun way to do a round frame. And so I just work one section at a time to make sure I can keep my hot glue wet there. And then this section, I'm going to do even smaller sections because I need to kind of get an even seam here at the top. So I glue all the way over, just gluing over the hanger. I left the hanger on there from originally. Really no need to replace that part. And I'm just going to glue this all the way to the end. You know, I went over a little bit so I would have a little bit of excess, and then just cut that down, trimming it until it lays flat there on the top, where you can kind of make it look more seamless. Isn't that fun? That is my first like rope frame or wreath that I've made with the macrame cord. I think it turned out so cute. And now it's time just to decorate it. I think it looks really pretty with that abstract ocean anyway. That I thought it would look even nicer with a Dollar Tree sand dollar on the front. So that's what we're going to use. It's one of their little plastic molded sand dollars. But you could use anything, a seashell. Even a seashell would look really cute too. If you have a sign similar to this, they had like maybe 3 different kinds. But mine was a little whitish gray. I didn't think it really matched my rope very well. So I'm going to use just this like parchment color. I think it's called antique parchment. Kind of trying to make my sand dollar match my rope a little bit better. And these little sand dollars from the Dollar Tree and the starfish are really easy to paint. You can customize them to any of your home decor. And they come 3 in a package with the Shore Living line. So it's still a really good deal. It's cheaper than Amazon. I do want it to look solid though, so I did do a good 2 coats there, 2 or 3 coats to make sure it was nice and solid. And now I'm just going to hot glue this on the sign. Right here in the center, in the ocean. And I think this DIY sign turned out really cute. It's just one way you can take a sign from the Dollar Tree that you kind of like parts of, kind of make it your own, and kind of like make it look way more high end. And I think this is really cute. You can hang this on your door, you can hang it on your wall. Really, it would go with any kind of coastal decor, and you can use Seize the Day year round if you have this particular sign. I think my favorite part of this DIY was definitely the braided rope frame or reef there, and I really like that abstract ocean as well. Next up, I'm going to be using one of the galvanized metal shore living signs. I don't think these sold well because my store seemed to still have them. Now, this is a shore living sign, one of the galvanized metal ones with the little seahorse on there. And then I'm going to use some of this chunky slat wood from the Dollar Tree and a glass sticker for this DIY as well. Not a big fan of the galvanized metal signs. My stores do have these out again this year with the shore living line, but I don't know if they're new or if they still have them left over because I don't think they ever really sold out of them. I think a lot of people don't really know what to do with them, so I kind of want to give you an idea. So I'm going to take 3 of these chunky slat wood pieces from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree, and we're going to glue them together end to end to make a nice chunky little sign that we can decorate with that galvanized metal seahorse sign. So you can use that craft wood to kind of make, whatever you want. It's cut well, and this is going to be just the right size. I want to go with like a Caribbean blue mixed with ivory color again, one of my favorite combinations. I have found this color at Walmart. I think it was called Cloudless. It's just a very soft blue. It works really well for coastal DIYs. And so we're going to go over the front of our new sign, also the edges, anywhere we're going to be able to see it when this is sitting on my shelf. And I always like to distress my blue pieces, so I do go over it with a little ivory and a chunky brush, just kind of working in one direction, making sure I definitely get the edges, kind of blending that in, and also going to distress the edges. I really love that for a coastal farmhouse vibe. And then what I want to do is attach the little metal stub starfish. It is a seahorse, Julie, sign to the front. They also do have starfish though, and they have an anchor one as well. But I don't want it the galvanized metal. I just don't like it very much like that. So I thought we would give it a go at painting this. Sometimes I've heard that you can't paint these, that they do scratch. One of y'all just put in my comments the other day that if you Mod Podge it after, it doesn't scratch, so that might be a little tip to try. But as you can see, I'm using ivory paint and just distressing it all over, and I'm trying to cover up as much of that metal as I can. If a little shows through because I am distressing it, that's fine, but I'm just trying to get pretty good coverage to give myself a cute little sign to attach to the front of the blue sign that we DIY'd. Now, I did think I wasn't getting enough coverage, so I do go in there, mix a little bit more white with it, and go on a little heavier just to get a little bit better coverage. And then I'm going to sponge on some of that Caribbean blue paint to the seahorse with a makeup sponge just to kind of make that pop. And then we're going to decorate it with another glass sticker. This one says "Meet Me by the Sea," and it has a little seahorse on there. Now, as you can see, it's not the right size, but you know what? We are going to make it work. These are a great option if you don't have a Cricut or you don't want to break one out. They are definitely a lot easier than setting that all up. What I did was just cut the "Meet Me by the" and the "sea" off separately into 2 pieces so I could put them together and make a long sign instead of a square sign. So I think that looks really cute. We're going to set "sea" over here, just peel and stick, and then "Meet Me by the" over here. And if you don't like the position, you can peel and stick. I'm not sure how long it takes for that to set up, but I do want to secure it on there with Mod Podge, so I do go over the top to help seal that down and make sure that it doesn't come off. So I guess I did seal some of the paint with Mod Podge, right? And then I'm going to distress it lightly with some more of that ivory and a chunky brush just to kind of make it look more like part of the sign, less like a sticker is always my goal with those. And I'm going to distress our cute little seahorse as well. And it really looks like a completely different sign now, all painted. And like the white scroll sides I think really goes well with that ivory color. And then I'm going to kind of distress with the blue color just to give it more of a coastal vibe. The original sign was the blue distressed in ivory. This is ivory distressed in blue. And I distress over all of that sticker with the blue as well. And that also helps it blend in. If you ever find that you're distressing too much, just wipe it off with a baby wipe and you should be good to go. Now I want to secure it to the front. It does have little hangers on there if you want to use those to attach it. Now I got it on there and I really didn't like the red color, so this is me being extra with a little aqua paint pen and changing mine from red to blue to match the rest of it. Which was really not that hard to do, but I did have to go over it a couple of times just to get good coverage. And then I'm going to slightly distress that as well to kind of blend that in with the rest of the project. I think this sign turned out really cute. I have some small shelves like in my TV cabinet that this is the perfect height for. So I'm going to take advantage of those holes just by using some screws and screwing that into our sign. And this is how it turned out, our little meet me by the sea sign. So just an idea of what you can do with those little metal scroll signs if you have one or see them and you don't really know what to do with them. And I think they'd be really cute too, like with some Cricut vinyl lettering on there if you are not lucky enough to have some of the glass stickers left over. Okay, you made it to the final reveal for all 15 of my beach Dollar Tree DIYs. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to comment below the video and let me know which one was your favorite, or just come say hello. I love reading all of your all's comments. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I'd really appreciate it. A like would be really nice as well. Enjoy.
For better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us if we just hold on tight. This vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. 7 years now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. For our home to show on the horizon, soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. When we can't read the sky, we just sail with the wind that we've got. And when we're drowning in doubt, just keep on believing. We are dreamers of the shore. I get a little bit breathless, my thoughts are too big. Can I get some comfort, please? I guess I should have been honest. A break to my heart, it's weighing me down, baby. I'm like a river that's overflowed. The sooner you know it, the less do we hurt. Let me speak the truth. I know you don't want to face it. You think it's too late, but I can see past the rain. Won't you lay it on me? Turn the page and burn it. Let's make up a big bonfire on the beach with the stars as our lighters, and throw our problems in the flame. Throw our problems in the flame. We fell down to the bottom, so bottom up, please. We're gonna get over this. I see the smoke in the mirrors. I'm holding the key, one step away from salvation. You're like the ocean, setting me free. Out in the open, I'm picking up speed. No bad thoughts penetrate. Hold me like this is the first time our destiny called.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's video. I also want to give a huge thank you to all of my crafty beach bums for supporting my channel here on YouTube. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Tracy Knight, Nancy Wunner, Julie Miller, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Maria Grace, Donna Schreiner, Sandy C., Debbie DeLay, and Ariana's mama. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day yesterday. I really tried to take it easy. And if you would like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button under today's video. It's $4.99 a month. You're going to get early ad-free access to my videos, and you can cancel any time. Okay, would you like more beach DIYs? I've got you covered. Check out this video right here. Until next time, happy crafting.